I was told recently I have thick skin. If anybody has ever said that to you, you probably know exactly what they're talking about, and it's probably true. And just like you, it was true with me. It still is. It's a truth statement. And as much as there is truth to that, I know that that is not the full story, at least not for what I've been experiencing lately. So today, I want to talk to you about the next level of thick skin. Because what I think really matters more than that thick skin is your mindset. And for me, my mindset recently has mattered more than ever. So today, we're going to talk about mindset and how vital it is for you as a first responder spouse. The longer you're in this field, the more you experience, the more I'm sure you probably agree with me. Because let's be honest, this is not easy. It's not easy for any of us. And no matter if you have a relatively smooth experience, the shift work, the variabilities, the things that happen around you, the things you experience, politics, everything factors into it. And it necessitates a strong mindset. So today we're going to talk about that. And we're going to kick it off with a story. Because if you've noticed, it took me a couple weeks to get this podcast out. Frankly, it took me a couple weeks to be ready with the right words, and I still probably won't get it right. And I'm going to try. So here we go. When you start something new, and as most of you know, this is a new thing for me. This is a new podcast. It came along with a new Instagram page, a new YouTube page. So, with that, I am doing the things it takes to build those up and build an audience and some credibility. So, I have been posting shorts and reels and all those good things, fun, engaging videos, I hope. With that, on my YouTube channel specifically, I was adding a lot of those reels from Instagram, redoing them, and getting them up on shorts for YouTube. Now, that sounds all like logic, right? Well, I had one video that took things to a whole other level. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably know what I'm talking about. And yet, I'm going to go into the story. So here it is. I loaded this video onto YouTube and it performed well on Instagram and it started performing well on YouTube, which was great. I had a lot of good feedback on it, a lot of positive comments, woo, comments on it, and that was wonderful. And so I was like, okay, good. This is resonating with people. I'm on the right track. And then I got my first, maybe negative comment. And here's why I made the vital mistake. So, if you're intending on starting a YouTube channel and you want to go big, just listen up. This is where I made the mistake. Somebody commented on it, something about how I need to stand for eliminating qualified immunity. So I responded, and thank the good Lord for my mindset because I responded in a calm demeanor. I didn't get aggressive with it. I said, I essentially said, I think you should maybe not listen to the media as much and just think for yourself on this one. And I left it pretty simple. That's really it. Well, he fired, I don't know if it's a he, whoever, that person fired back. And then it took off. And within 1 week, I had over 400 new subscribers, which sounds nice, I guess. And then 357 comments on one video. Now, that sounds like good numbers. When I first told my husband, he said, "Oh, well, that's great." And I said, no, it's not. It's not. Because there were about a dozen good comments and maybe more hidden in there. Because let's be real, I did not read all 357 comments. But I did, however, open my email every day and see the next dozen or so coming in, and most of them were negative. Lots and lots on the qualified immunity thing, which of course were all with hidden weird usernames, so probably robots. lots of people attacking me personally on you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of your husband. How dare he? Which, I mean, how dare he what? Do his job well? I don't understand. He hasn't done anything. I even had comments on people that hated the music that was played with this video, which is the ones that like actually kind of cracked me up because I did not sing that song, nor did I write that song. So if you think you're gonna get under my skin because you don't like the music, like, okay, I'm glad you took time out of your day to write that. So, needless to say, I had a little bit of a moment where I stepped back. After about a week of this, I was like, okay, I need to rethink this. Because when it comes to thick skin, that is true about me. I have nice, thick skin. You can say whatever you want about me. You can say it to my face, to other people. And although it might ting and like sting for a minute, I do move on. I just do. And I am able to reword it and rewire it to understand that that says more about you than it does me. So you're not going to get to me. Where I struggle and I still need work, hence the mindset and conversation, is when it comes to my family. And so I took time to evaluate, was I doing the right thing by my family, having that YouTube channel specifically? So I I basically turned off my YouTube channel. I turned off all the pictures. I made them all like a blank picture. I made all of the videos private, and before I did that, turned off the comments on that one video as to stop the madness because they were certainly feeding off of each other. And it was not good. It was not good. And I had to reevaluate. And it took me a few days. It took me some time to like really think it over and process what I wanted to do because truthfully, like, yes, I've been on social media a long time, and yet I've never been an influencer. I still would not consider myself one. However, this was certainly my first experience on seeing firsthand what that level of negative comments feels like. Because, one here or there, water under the bridge. An influx where the negative takes over the positive, that is different. It hits different. It feels different. And for somebody like me, I just needed some time to reevaluate it. And this is where I came up with the concept of the mindset podcast. Because if it was not for my mindset and all the work I've done on it for the last 8, almost 9 years, I don't know that I would have been able to handle that appropriately. I probably would have fired back at a lot more people. It probably would have gotten nastier and worse. And instead, I did not comment to anybody else. That was the only person I responded to on the negative side. And I shut it down. And I was not going to let it continue feeding itself. And that's where I had to take the time to go internal. And that's what your mindset's about. It's about what you are able to process on the inside to handle what's happening on the outside. And that is so vital when it comes to first responder spouses. And dare I say, especially police wives or police spouses. Let's be clear. It is the police field specifically that has dealt with a very hard few years, and it's not going away. The ambushes keep coming, and they're getting worse and more frequent, and it's becoming an actual crisis. More people should be aware of it. Now, that's not to say that the other first responder fields are not experiencing their own level too. We saw a paramedic get prosecuted a couple months ago, not even, maybe a month ago at this point, for things that happened in 2020, 2021. And so it's not, nobody's sheltered from it. And yet I would say the police field and police spouses have gotten the brunt end of it. And you've had to develop some really tough skin. You've had to figure out who your real friends are. And you've had to make sure that your walls go up and you only talk about certain things with certain people, and you try to stay strong. Because at the end of the day, for most of us, I think we would agree that this field, first responder life, is a calling for our spouses. They feel really connected. I'll speak for myself. I'll let you speak for yourself. For us, my husband has found the job that he really connected with. He comes from a sports background, coaching background. And so the number one thing that had attracted him to the policing field is the community. He wanted to make a difference for the community. He wanted to be the person that could walk into a treacherous situation and talk anybody down from any situation, reason with them, connect with them on their level, um, and get them back on into reality, essentially. He has that skill. That man can talk to anybody about anything. He can basically be a chameleon to their world and earn their trust and their respect and give it right back to them, give them their respect that they deserve, and calm down the situation, which is why he's really good at his job. And I think that's very true for a lot of police, and it's certainly true for the other first responder fields. Yes, the bad apples are out there, just like they are in any field. There's bad politicians. Yes, yes. There's bad everything, because this is a fallen and broken world, and so there are broken people all over the place, in every industry, in every field, no matter where you go. Now, it's unfortunate that what has happened has gone through the media to portray everybody in the same light and lumped everybody in the same category instead of acknowledging the good out there too. So, as a police spouse, it has taken a lot of thick skin and a lot of mindset to continue this job and to continue going on and being able to operate in the world without completely isolating ourselves. And I'm now in the sense where I want to go on the offense and not just the defense. And that's thanks to my mindset, because I know who I am at the end of the day, and I've done a lot of self growth. So, if those of you listening have not spent a lot of time in like the self development, self help field, maybe the concept of mindset is new to you. And for me, you know what? Actually, I want to tell you there's a book. If you're a reader out there, there's a book called Mindset. And this book was actually given to my husband when he started at his department by his mentor. It was one of 3 books given to him with a couple special notes written in it as a highly recommended read in order to survive this field. Which is so fascinating to me because I was already in entrepreneurial world is inundated with self-help and books and all the things. So it's a very common social practice for entrepreneurs. So I already had that book. Now I can't really remember if I had read it at the time that he got it or if I read it after. But I thought that was so crazy. And I loved it because I was like a self-help junkie and I loved all of those things. And so it was so exciting for me that he got something that I was going to read too. Now, this book primarily focuses on the differences between people with a fixed mindset and people with a non-fixed mindset, a growth mindset. People with a fixed mindset essentially think that you are born this way. You can only do X, Y, Z because that is who you are. Things happen to you. You don't make things happen. It is a mindset that thinks that if something negative happens to you, it's because only negative things are attracted to you, and that's just the way things are, and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, growth mindset says, okay, that might be what's happening around me, but there's something I can do about it. I can think differently about it. I can process it and take in the truth and throw away the rest. I can grow from it. I can learn from mistakes and try again. I can be a better person. I am not who I was born. I am who I choose to be. And that's the difference. It's the difference between believing the negative around you and getting sucked into the negativity and thinking that everything is negative, and basically having a heart that hates the world or hates what's happening around you, and becomes a negative person, versus having the strength to continue saying, no, there is good in the world. I am good in the world. People around me are good in the world because of the choices we make. And yes, there is bad things that happen to all of us. There's bad things that happen around us. There's bad people. And that's always going to be true. If you're a believer, Jesus did not promise an easy life. He promised hardships, but he promised he would be with us to help us through it. And that's something that I hang on to is, yes, there's going to be hard times. We're all going to struggle. We all go through things. And yet, it's how I choose to handle it. It's how I choose to process it. It's how I choose to continue living life through that. And that is so vital when it comes to being a first responder spouse, because things are going to happen to your spouse, whether it's on a leadership level internally in the department, where you have to have the strength to help your responder not hang on to the negative things and to process, okay, what can I control about this situation? What can I not control? What needs to just go throw away? When am I allowed to vent? And when does venting turn into more? Because everybody's allowed to vent. Everybody's allowed to get frustrated. The difference and the impactful point is when you turn that frustration into a negative thing and you keep going down that rabbit hole and you dig and dig and dig and dig and dig. If you can vent and then turn that to, okay, now it's time to move on and control what I can control, that's where you survive. That's where you thrive. And that's where you can make something of your career and your life. And that's also true on the spouse's side, because it's hard to live in social media or to live in the real world. Maybe some of you have office situations or other situations that put you into a mainstream media storyline where you are inundated with the negativity around first responders, and their families get brought into it. Like most comments, they told me, you should be ashamed of your husband. How dare you support him? Blah, on and on and on. And they don't know us. They don't know our story. Most of them don't even know where we live. In fact, where we live, qualified immunity is not even a thing. I don't even know when it was, if it ever was here. And in lots of parts of the country, it's gone away. So, from my point of view, I'm like, okay, well, you don't even know what you're talking about. You're attacking me over something that's not even true. And that's a perfect example of being like, that's not true. I will go ahead and throw that away and not let that fester inside my heart. Because that's the game changer. As much as a spouse, one of our roles as a spouse is to support our wife or our husband, right? And that crosses both sides. And so there is a heavy burden on the spouse to help our responder maintain this mindset and process what they go through. And I hope and pray that your spouse is somebody who opens up to you and shares what they're going through and shares what they're thinking, because I know that in reality, that's not very common for this industry. It's more common for the police, the fire, the paramedic, whoever, dispatch, to hold it inside and think that they are stronger than that and think that they can weather the storm. And they are getting fed negative things all day long. Whether it's the negative situation they're dealing with, like somebody getting hurt, some kind of injury, a fatal car accident, whatever, that's negative. That's something that's going to affect their spirit. Or it could be at a leadership level. Maybe they're dealing with a hard sergeant. Maybe they're dealing with poor command staff. Maybe they're dealing with, whoever is the leadership on the dispatch level, whoever, poor lieutenants, whatever it is. Maybe they have a team that's not accepting them. Maybe they're the outsider that's just started on this brand new team, and this team has a negative culture and they're not being very open and accepting to a new person. Whatever that looks like, it's one of our roles as the spouse to help our officer, for me, our responder through it. And to be that voice of reason and to help them process it in a healthy way, right? And so if your responder is somebody who doesn't open up to things that are happening in their job, if you guys don't have those conversations relatively frequently about, hey, what's going on at work? How was your day? Sharing kind of openly with each other, I would highly recommend you start having those conversations and start trying to peel back those layers, because your responder needs you. And you need them, right? I'm sure there's things that you see during the day in your work, in social media, around town that hurt you. Maybe it is negativity around the responder world. And you need to be able to share that too with somebody. And I hope that can be your spouse. I hope that you guys can share together and converse together about what your family stands for. And, being able to process the good and the bad. Because that's going to be key for longevity in this career. There's been I say influx, but it's really an outflux of people from this industry, especially in the police world. That's the one I can speak into the most, because that's our world, where a lot of people have taken early retirement. A lot of people have just up and left because they couldn't take it. And I don't blame them for that at all. And yet, if this is something you choose to stick with and you choose to continue your career because the meaningful impact you can have is greater than the negativity around you, then a positive and strong mindset of growth is going to be vital for longevity. And it's vital for you and your family and your responder. So with that, I have decided to turn back on comments and turn back on my YouTube channel. To be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to. I am going to turn it back on, and I'm going to keep plugging forward. And if, I'm going to take it as it comes. Because to me, putting out resources for first responder spouses is more important than shutting down the negative comments. I have thick skin. I'll take it. I can take whatever they want to throw my way, because at the end of the day, I know that hurt people hurt people. That's just true. And the world is full of hurt people. And so I will never have a shortage of negative comments. And yet I hope the day comes where the growth is more on the positive side than negative, because at this point, if I'm being honest, I'm a little fearful that those 400 and some subscribers, couldn't get that word out, subscribers are following me in order to continue their rants on every video I post. So we shall see what happens. At the worst case scenario, comments get shut off on everything. I don't know. What's most interesting is that this video, because if you didn't know, I actually record these podcasts on a video format, will get posted onto YouTube. And so I'm so curious to see how many of those people follow along this little story and know that I'm talking about them, because it was you. And no, you did not get to me, and you will not get to me. So that's fine. You can say whatever you want to say. But I hope that at some point in your life that you choose to be a better person and to think a little bit better about the things around you and to understand and respect that we are all human. And again, as believers, as I am a believer, we are all made in the image of God and all deserve love, no matter what your circumstance, what your lifestyle looks like. Like, you are made in the image of God. And so for that, I respect you. And I'm not going to go on the negative towards you. And I would hope that you give that right back to me. So, I'm curious as to how you have felt mindset affect you in your life. Because if you were listening to one of my first episodes, I discussed a story that happened when my husband was in academy about a family meeting we went to and a psychologist that told this specific story in that. And clearly, I've had a couple of people comment on that story. And I will say that if you're not in the right headspace, if you're not in the right mindset, then things can hit differently than the intent was. And so for me, when I heard that story, my headspace was in an already stressed level. I didn't want somebody adding more onto my plate and feeling like I couldn't keep up with the demand. And so it's taken a lot of growth through this career and through the incidents that have happened, because to be honest, like, those incidents have forced me to address the mindset and to address what needs to happen in order to survive in this career. And so the headspace that you're in matters. And so I would consider taking some time. I know our department has a wellness program that allows spouses and family members, immediate family members, access to counselors and therapists. So if you have something similar, I would encourage you to schedule a meeting. Ours is free. I hope yours is too. And ask them and discuss with them what your mindset is and how they can help you to maintain and grow into that growth mindset category so that you can get that tough skin and that positive mindset in order to truly be okay when negative things happen to you or happen around you, because you know that you can grow from it and that you know the truth and not the lies that are being told, and that you can really let things be water under the bridge, or water off your back, I guess is the real phrase, because you've done the work and you've got the growth to be able to handle it. So go out there and consider what your mindset is when you walk around in your daily life. And if it's not towards the growth, if you find yourself focusing too much on the negativity, too much on the woe is me circumstances, then I would encourage you to do a little research on mindset and to maybe pick up the book or maybe do whatever resonates with you in order to maintain strong in this field, because I believe it is vital to our longevity and it is vital to our success. And it's necessary not only for surviving this career, but also for your health. Living in negativity and living in a stressful situations is detrimental to our physical health. And so if you can learn to reset your mind, eliminate a lot of that stress, and live a positive life, you are going to benefit your health and longevity ultimately for your life, and your family's life, and your children, and the example you set for your children. So with that, I hope you go out and crush this week whenever you're listening to this. And as always, I'm here for you. So drop me in the comments, find me in the DMs, where it's Blue Line Living on everything. And until next time, have a great week. Bye.